Thank you, Mr Speaker. I move that the 68th report of the Public Works Committee for the 54th Parliament entitled Henley High School Redevelopment Project be noted. Henley High School was allocated total funding of $12 million as part of the Department for Education's Capital Works program. Mr Speaker, as you will know, Henley High School requires additional space to support the future growth in student enrolment numbers, and this includes the transition of Year 7 students to high school in 2022. Mr Speaker, when complete, the redevelopment project will provide Henley High School with the required capacity to accommodate 1,700 students and, in doing so, cater for the expected future growth in student enrolments. I must say specifically and report to members that the scope of the Henley High School redevelopment will include the construction of a new administration building, a new arts building and a new building for the subjects of home economics and health. And the project will also deliver new general learning areas, a new extension to an existing building for science, laboratories and general learning areas, as well as landscaping to improve the street presence and amenity of those facilities. The redevelopment project will be staged, with construction expected to be complete in December 2021. The committee examined written evidence from the Department for Education regarding the Henley High School redevelopment project. The committee is satisfied that the project proposal has been subject to the appropriate agency consultation and meets the criteria for the examination of projects, which, as you know, Mr Speaker, is set out in Section 12C of the Parliamentary Committees Act. And based on the evidence considered and pursuant to the section I've mentioned, the Public Works Committee reports to Parliament that it recommends the proposed scope of public works I've described.
The member for Colton.
Thank you, sir. I rise today to give my support to this report of the Public Works Committee and, in turn, the works proposed at the Henley High School. The $12 million redevelopment, which will, as has already been stated, feature a new arts building, general learning areas, a home economics building, as well as health, an extension of the science laboratories, and in general, close to 20+ new learning areas across the school, which is quite significant and addresses what has become a need of the school over previous years, where there had been a range of general learning areas but a shortage of specialised learning areas. So to have the opportunity to address that, as well as the transition of Year 7 into high school, and to provide an opportunity in the future for increased capacity at a school that is very well respected and very popular in my local area. And over the years, as the popularity has increased, we have had to keep a close watch and eye on the enrolment at the school, but that is something that should be seen as a positive, because people want to go to Henley High. That is the reputation that Henley has developed over time. I'd like to say thank you and acknowledge the work over many years by the previous chair of the Governing Council at Henley, Mr Pete Evans, who stepped aside last year at the completion of his term. And Pete, a fantastic guy, had given many years of contribution to that Governing Council, of which the school has already acknowledged his contribution, but I'd just like to formally add mine in this forum. Can I also say thank you to the current chair, Karina Sarek, for her work as well. Both she and Pete and a range of others on the Governing Council had been very influential in working with Principal Eddie Fabian and others to come up with a sensible and useful plan around what this $12 million project would deliver for the school. And I very much appreciate their input over time and their work to ensure that what's delivered at Henley High is appropriate and serve the needs of the school into the future well and truly. For those that are unaware, Henley High has an incredible range of specialist programs that the school is incredibly proud of, whether that be their sports program that is well and truly acknowledged as being one of the principal sports programs, not just in South Australia, but across Australia more generally, and they participate in a range of sports, but also in exchanges interstate and a range of other things. And I think that the Henley branding, no matter which school, no matter which context, no matter which pitch or otherwise that Henley is lining up, when there is a Henley side there, they are certainly one to be feared, and we should be very proud of what they've done. Similar to many other schools, we're also incredibly proud of the range of projects and other programs that happen at Henley, whether that be the arts and dance, whether that be the music programs that are there. There's some incredible things being done at the school, and each and every time that I get the opportunity to visit, whether that be as a local member or in any other context, to see the performances that are put on, they really are top class and something that we should all be very, very proud of. Could I also take the opportunity, sir, to mention just a couple of things that have happened at the school recently that I've been very proud and happy to be involved in. The organisers of the Year 8s at Henley High had put together an integrated learning project across a range of subject areas just last term. It was originally themed around the Olympics, which unfortunately did not take place this year, but nonetheless something that I was very happy to be involved in, given my past background. Was invited to come along and to judge the work that was done by the students, and I can assure you it was absolutely top-notch. One of the key projects that I thought was quite innovative and different and in some ways entrepreneurial. One of the subject areas had asked the students to consider Australian-made product and to adapt it, to change it, and to market it into the Japanese market as part of the Tokyo 2020 Games. And that involved products similar to Tim Tams being matcha tea flavoured, and the packaging changed and the sizing changed. It really was something that I thought was quite extraordinary, the ideas and the individualism that the students demonstrated in preparing those projects. And can I congratulate young Charlie, who was the winner of that Year 8 integrated learning project. She should be very proud of her work and the work that she put in to that project. It would be remiss of me not to reflect on the unfortunate circumstances earlier this week where Henley went down to PAC in the Schools Football Cup final. Certainly not a demonstration of the quality of the game. It was a very well fought game. We did have a slight lead at half time, but unfortunately just faded in the third quarter. But a great demonstration again of the fine work that's done through the sports program at Henley. I know there are many other members, both past and present in this place, that have a strong links and heritage with the Henley High School, and I'm sure they too are very happy to see a $12 million investment going to ensure that the Henley High School facilities serve our community for the better into the future. So, sir, I'm very proud to support this report of the Public Works Committee and look forward to seeing the development take place. Just earlier last week, the Minister for Education and I visited to see the early works as they kicked off Phase 1. And every morning as I drive down Cudmore Terrace, I take a look at how things are shaping up. So, sir, with that, I support the work undertaken by the Education Department on the site at Henley High and this report of the Public Works Committee.
The Minister for Education.
Thank you, sir. It gives me great pleasure to be able to note the work of the Public Works Committee in endorsing the project for the school build at Henley High School, and I thank the members of the Public Works Committee for the important role they have played in helping to enable this project and many others across the Education Department to progress. This is an important accountability measure for all government spending and projects of this nature, and it ensures that the people of South Australia can be assured that there is parliamentary oversight of the work being done in our departments. I also place on my record my thanks to the officers from the Department of Education, the Department of Infrastructure and Transport, who've been working on this alongside the builders, the architects, the people at Henley High School, who've done a great job of work in ensuring that this build will get great value for money for the people of South Australia, deliver outstanding new learning opportunities for students at Henley High for many, many years to come. It's a $12 million project undertaken by Studio 9 Architects and Pike Constructions, and it really was a great pleasure to visit with the member for Colton last week and indeed spend some time with Eddie Fabian. It's not the first time we've done so, and spending some time at Henley High School is always a pleasure, as it is, of course, across many of our sites in South Australian schools. There's a lot of energy, there's a lot of dedication undertaken by that workforce, supporting our students at Henley High and around the South Australian public school system. At Henley High, they have some things that they're particularly proud of. Their sports program is magnificent. This week, as the member for Colton alluded, they were unsuccessful in the grand final of the All Schools Football Cup, but nevertheless their team did an outstanding job in getting to that grand final. I'm sure that there are going to be many future SANFL and AFL stars that come out of that program. The loss to PAC was narrow, it was hard contested, and it's a rivalry that's been undertaken a number of times in recent years. Henley High was successful in winning that All Schools Cup 2 years ago, and I'm sure that they will again in the future. The school has 1,400 students nearly, 1,300 and some students, and there are a diverse range of students. Some of them are in that sporting academy. Some of them are outstanding with their focus on vocational education training, which is a critical, important role of the government. The government has, and Henley High, as some other schools are, is grasping the opportunities to connect with local businesses and ensure that there are pathways and apprenticeships and trainees for some of their students. They're also doing spectacularly well in a range of academic fields. I can't go past the music program because indeed when the member for Colton and I were at Henley High last week having a look at the plans, some of the early works going on, one of the builders from Pike Constructions commented to us how much he'd enjoyed coming to work on the building site to the fanfare of the school band welcoming them on. It wasn't something that was put on specially, it's just something that happens every day in Henley High, and the music room happened to be going out with their windows open onto some of the area where the early construction work was underway. They loved it, and they were very excited to hear that that wasn't something that was special for them. They will in fact get to experience that on a number of occasions during the course of the build. However, I suspect maybe less so when the building becomes louder. They might move some of the music program. And that's one of the things that all schools have to confront when they're undertaking building works. There is the work that is underway on the school at the same time as the school is still functioning as a school. And so there will be some complexity over the next year across many of these sites, including at Henley High, for those students who need to potentially have some disruption to where they do their study, and the staff in particular. But Henley High is set up extremely well, and I know that they'll manage that process well. They have the plans in place and they're ready to go. And their capacity will increase from that just under 1,400 students they have at the moment, up to 1,700, and that will enable the Year 7s to come into high school. But one of the great things that's being leveraged by this program, as again in so many other sites around the state, is it's meant that we've done an audit on what facilities our schools have. Do they have the specialist learning facilities that are appropriate for a school of their size? The Year 7 project is indeed unlocking right around South Australia the opportunity for Year 8s, 9s, 10s, 11s and 12s to also access new learning facilities, particularly in specialist learning areas, whether that's music or science or tech or other opportunities for learning that all students need, but the Year 7 project and these building works that are attached to many of them will see increases in those specialist learning facilities as well. The project is due to be completed at the end of next year, hopefully late October, maybe November, and I can't wait to see the final product. I know that the students and the staff at Henley High are looking forward to seeing their $12 million project completed. I know that the building and the architects who are engaged in the project are very proud of the work they're doing, and I'm sure that that will be something that the whole state can be proud of. right across South Australia, we have an ambition in this government for every child, every young person in South Australia to be supported to fulfil their potential, wherever they are, whichever classroom, whichever school, whichever town or suburb in South Australia, given the opportunity to support their potential. Fulfil their potential, lead a successful life, whether that means a university pathway, whether that means a trade or a technical apprenticeship or a traineeship, whether that means going straight into a job or whatever other path is going to lead to that young person waking up each morning looking forward to the day ahead because they have found the pathway to the life that can lead them in their best possible circumstance. Henley High School's redevelopment will not change the fact that they have excellent teachers, excellent staff, there's excellent teaching and learning going on, but it will enable those staff to have that work supported in the environment that is designed for the sorts of work they're doing. It will maximise the opportunities for those students, and we can't wait to see it completed.
The member for Chafee.
Thank you, sir. And I'll make a brief contribution as a new member of the Public Works Committee and as a past student of Henley High. It gives me great pleasure to just to make a few comments. Some would say that as a past student at Henley High, I was there when at the inception when the school was established in 1958, but that's not true. I was there in the 70s. And it was a great school. It was always highly regarded. I remember there aren't too many schools in the state that can boast that when the school hall was open, they had the Angels there as the band at a school social. But look, over that time, I had many fond memories. And my son rang me from the United States yesterday just to remind me that he attended PAC, I attended Henley, and just to remind me that PAC gave Henley a bit of a flogging at the state schools footy championship. 16 points is as good as one is as good as 60. But look, I have many fond memories there, and it's great to see this $12 million upgrade will bring Henley High to its next phase of life. The introduction of Year 7 there, I guess. Henley has always been highly regarded with its sporting programs, but also not to forget some of those students that do have handicaps and are in some way having learning a difficulty. But what I would say is that the $12 million project will enhance, it will make Henley High even a better school than it was back in the mid-70s. Look, what I would say is that it's a great school. It leads by example, and it will be a greater, better, bigger school with the Marshall Liberal Government's Education Capital Works program. I acknowledge the Education Minister for his good work with school infrastructure upgrades right round the state, particularly in the regions. But no more important than this school that we're talking about with Henley High. A great school, fond memories, and it's great to see that it's passed through Public Works for its $12 million upgrade.
The member for Carville speaks. He closes debate. The member for Carville.
Well, thank you, Mr Speaker, and I acknowledge and thank the member for Colton, the Minister for Education, and the member for Chafee as well for their excellent contributions to this debate. The member for Colton, of course, is closely familiar with the life of the school and its needs. He's a very hard-working and well-liked local member. He was also able to inform us quite rightly that the increasing enrolments at the school are in consequence of the respect and esteem in which the school is held in the community, and it is a very pleasing thing to hear that demand for places at the school continues to rise, perhaps to rise from the 1970s even. And of course, we were very grateful to the Minister to the member for Chafee for informing us that he is an old scholar, and I'll return to that matter in a moment. It was right too for the member for Colton to reflect on the excellent work of Mr Pete Evans and to memorialise in this place not only his personal appreciation, but equally the appreciation of his community for Mr Evans' substantial contribution to improving education at the school and, of course, within Colton and surrounds. It was also right for the member for Colton to record the excellent work of Karina Starrick and Eddie Fabian, and to reflect that for them their contribution has been profound and appreciated, and also appreciated by us in this place. As you know, Mr. Speaker, and as the members I've mentioned have remarked, the school has an extraordinary program in sports. It has produced and will continue to produce athletes of remarkable quality, passion and commitment. But of course the member for Colton is equally an athlete of international standing with an extraordinary record. And it was, he says, though, we remember that record very fondly. He is a modest man, a modest member, but has made an extraordinary contribution to sport in South Australia, to sport internationally, and is able in that role to, in view of that history, to provide additional guidance and support not only to the school but to exceptional athletes in that program. Would be remiss of me not also to remark that his extraordinary record extends to service to his community, and for that we are very grateful. For that I know his community is grateful and continues to be grateful, and his contribution is never overlooked in this place, and much appreciated, particularly by the school, but also by us, the Public Works Committee, in relation to this project. Appreciate the contribution of the Minister for Education, and of course the contribution of the member for Chaffey, who was able to supply necessary and important information from the early record of the school, from the early portion of his life, about not just the program of arts, the cultural program that was available at the school. We might have missed some of the detail about the cultural program that was available at the school. It may be that in the course of his service to the Public Works Committee, the member for Chaffey can supply us with additional detail in that respect. We of course look forward to it. It may not extend to comments in the House, but nonetheless we will be eager to hear those matters in the context of the committee. I should add in closing that the Chief of Staff to the Education Minister, Cheryl Buer, an educator of renowned standing in her own right, also taught at the school. And so it's right to say overall that the school has an extraordinary record, continues to support extraordinary students, is well supported by an excellent member, and we recommend the scope of works to the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order. The question before the House is that the 68th report of the Public Works Committee entitled Henley High School Redevelopment Project be noted. Is the motion seconded? I'll put it at once. Those in favour say aye. Against say no. It's carried.